Buckle up. This is Musicians and Beyond with John Sarabian and Mark Lawhorn, where we bring you the backstage info on the life, the lyrics, and the long journeys of the music industry. Last episode, we were graced with Jas Bianchi, and she is a rapper, a singer, a songwriter, and she has an awesome business, and it's all about the music business, and she coaches up-and-coming musicians and established musicians. So if you didn't catch that episode, go back and listen to Jas. Great girl. She's a lot of energy in a small package, so check her out. And today we got episode number 94. I can't believe we're at 94. And the guest we have today is going to blow you guys away. Started out in Oklahoma, moved to Massachusetts, and just is making waves across the country. We want to welcome with open arms, Houston Bernard.
Hey, thanks.
Dude, thanks for coming in. I know that we've been going back and forth trying to make this happen, and we finally did. You've been a busy guy.
Yeah, for sure. And thanks for the intro. That's pretty good.
Well, I've done it once or twice. So how did your music career start? I did a little research on you, and you have a lot of music in your family.
Yeah, so I was born in Oklahoma, and my uncle and my dad played country music for many years, and that's how my mom met my dad. My dad was touring in Massachusetts. That's how they met, up here. Then I was born in Oklahoma, and then he was a broke musician, so he rejoined the Army, and we ended up in Alaska. So I was there, and I started singing in malls and stuff when I was about 12 years old. But it was just something that I always did. I didn't know it was anything. It's just who I was. I was always singing or performing in some sense. But eventually my parents split up, and my mom moved us back to Massachusetts. And I've done a lot of different styles of music, and I've just followed my nose, my ear, my heart, and I found myself writing country music about 12 years ago. And I started an outlaw country band. And because it was the only kind of country music I could stomach at the time. And I played a bunch of that, and then started writing. So I recorded my first country album then. And then my agent at the time, who was booking us, she said, if you learn some modern country music, we can get you some more gigs. I'm like, okay. So I learned some stuff that I could bear with, and eventually I got into it a little bit more, and then music changed. As it does, and next thing you know, I'm just opening up for national acts. Now I just released my 6th country album.
Wow.
In January. So I'm, it's full steam ahead, keeping it going.
Yeah, and when you say national acts, you're talking some big names. You're talking Luke Bryan, Old Dominion, Montgomery Gentry, Marshall Tucker, Clint Black. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are some big names.
Yes, with nice, large careers.
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully you're on the stepping stone to making your name as big as theirs.
Well, that's not my goal. My goal is just to keep moving forward and make the best music I can make and connect with people. I feel like when you're that successful, it's like winning the lottery twice. Mm-hmm. So I it is what it is, and I'm fine with it. I've come to terms with it. I'm very happy. Keep trying to grow as an artist, but traveling around and meeting new people and connecting with people. That's really my goal.
Well, you're doing incredible. You are always busy playing out and about. I follow you on social media, and you play quite a few shows. Yeah,
I'm trying to limit it. There's different types of shows. You got club dates, you've got festivals, private events. I do a couple weddings a year even. And then I like to travel a little bit, so I'll be in Texas doing some dates down there, and I'll be in San Diego again, doing some dates out there. But I try not to do as many club dates because it's 3 hours, it's mostly covers, and that's fun. So I don't try to, but I'm really trying to push my own material. In order to do that, you need to do original shows, ticketed shows, all original stuff. So we did a show at the Regent Theater in Arlington,
right,
a while back. That was a lot of fun. And we're going out to Worcester on my old stomping grounds, high school, I guess. At Off the Rails is a new country venue.
Awesome.
Near the DCU. That'll be April 6th. That'll be a lot of fun.
Cool. And people can get tickets for that by going to your website.
Yeah, website. I have tickets, but you can just go to Off the
Awesome.
Rails.
What is the website?
The website is my name. It's my real name. People ask me that all the time. Houston, like the city. Bernard, like the saint. HoustonBernard.com.
I like that. That was one of my questions earlier. I was going to ask you if that was really your name, because it's a great country
It does
musician
seem like
name.
a really, but in Texas and Oklahoma, names like Houston and Austin are pretty common. It's just not as common up here. But yeah, I was named after my uncle that passed on the farm, family farm in Oklahoma, when he was about 2 years old.
Right. And you did write a song about that whole happening, right?
I did. I wrote a song about my family. I got to, because I didn't really grow up with my father, not by his choosing, but I didn't meet him again until I joined the military, and I was able to travel freely on my own. So I met him again when I was about 19, and went down and just learned a lot about my family. And I go visit him every couple of years and talk with him, and I just learn all these things. It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah. So you went quite a while until you re-met up with your dad.
Yes. So they split when I was about 2 years old. Yeah, 2 or 3. No, maybe I was 4. I don't remember.
Well,
I was really young. But yeah, they split, and then we had some time up there, about 10 years in Alaska. And then by the time I went to high school, I went back to Worcester. And then I joined the military, and then I went to college in Worcester as well. And then I moved to New York City, and I toured around Europe doing a different style of music. And I toured around North America doing that different style of music. And long journey of just following my heart, and that's what I
yeah, I love that. First of all, I want to thank you for being a United States Army veteran.
Thanks.
Thank you for serving this wonderful country. It needs all the help it can get right now. But yeah, thank you for protecting us. So you get 5 or 6 albums. What did you say?
So I just released my 6th album. I'm already working on my 7th.
Wow.
It's, when you're writing and stuff, and I was like, well, it takes a few years to really, to promote your album, but it also takes a few years to write the next album. And at this point, I'm just trying to keep going. And, you see a lot of major artists where they have the funding and they have the demand. People like Zach Bryan, right? Like, he released an album with, 24 songs on it. I'm like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I'm not churning it out that quickly, but I do need to keep moving along and keep things going.
Yeah, it's a big time obligation and a huge monetary obligation as well to do
It is,
an
especially
album.
when you're independent, and if you want to do, improve each time, which is my goal, to improve each time, improve my writing, improve the production, which I use all studio musicians now in Nashville. I've been working with the same producer, Bill McDermott, for 5 years or so, 6 years maybe.
And as your albums have come out, have you personally seen a change in them? More professional sounding or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, so I released an EP last May, which is over 1.3 million streams.
Wow.
Thank you for whoever is listening. And
if you haven't heard it, go and check it out and stream it and download it and support our local
Oh,
musicians.
thank you. So that EP was, I call it all my EPs albums as well, but that was released last May, and then I released a 11-song album in January. So it's very different. So the one from last May was songs like Freedom and American Dream and Hangover, the very broad kind of songs, still honest, still fun, still good songs. But this next, and I wrote a couple of them, but this next album, I wrote 10 of the 11 songs, and they're very personal, almost too personal. I didn't really want to share some of that information, and I write with a gentleman named Britton Cameron, and he encouraged me. He's like, "These are great stories. We have to write about this." And I was like, I don't know. And we did. I have a song, just give you an example. I have a song called Ain't No Friend. Now, this song is about a stepfather I had in Alaska. It was like this mountain man. He'd shovel the snow with his shirt off, but he was also extremely abusive and an alcoholic. He was an awful human being. So I wrote a song about him, and I put his name in the song. And it was just a big,
You can say anything.
big FU to that guy.
Yeah. Wow.
It was bad. It was really bad. So I wrote a song about him. I wrote a song about death. I wrote a song called All We Are Is Memories. Just talking about how our loved ones live on through memories. So in that sense, all we are is memories.
Mm-hmm. So all the songs you write, are they from personal experiences, or is it a mixed bag?
It's always mixed, but I write songs and it's my experiences. Sometimes it's a mixture of my experiences and the other writer, or maybe we're inspired by something. But the last album I wrote, they're very, very personal. I'm just trying to think of some of the songs, but we changed a couple of the things to fit maybe some a rhyme scheme but it's generally extremely honest. Another song, In My Blood, which is what you're talking about.
Yep.
I wrote that so quickly. First time I talked to Britton Cameron, my co-writer, is the first time I wrote with him. I was just talking to him. He said, "Oh, you should write that." So I get off the phone with him. I just write the song, and then we set a time to get together, and he just added his 3 cents, like a minor 3 chord for all you musician nerds. And I was like, "Whoa, this changed everything,"
And all your songs don't go like that. Like that one came easy for you.
Yeah, I think most of the songs that I write now is like 3 hours in a session.
Yeah, because some of our guests have said, it takes months to write a song.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
but I at this point in my life and my career, I'm pretty laser focused, and I know exactly. The longest song I've written recently is for the next album. It's a song called Oklahoma Stars, and that we talked about that for 2 hours, and then we wrote it. I was like, oh my gosh, I got stuff to do. I'm thinking, right? I don't want to be rude. I usually write online, and it was about a 5-hour write. And I love the song. Thank goodness it came out. I love the song.
And have you played it in public before?
I have.
You have. Would you like to play it in public right now?
I'm not ready to play it.
Okay.
But
what song would you like to play? You want to play
I
In
would
My
like to-
Blood?
I'd like to play the title track to my new album.
That would be wonderful.
Which is a song called Dish This Town.
So here.
Yeah, which I'm tuned for. That's why.
Awesome. Perfect. Great intro. This is Houston Bernard.
Dish This Town. Baby, I know you ain't coming back here. The dream in your head put my world in your rear view. It's all I can think about. Try to see me in my truck all packed up on the interstate. Not looking back for who I was before you moved out. Should've stayed here to go. Lock the door and hit the road. 'Cause I can be a small town guy in a big time city. Fall asleep with you every night when the lights go out. If I ditch this town, what if I fly out, dip my toe in the water, see if Nashville fits me, if I really ought to be going out and you to the way. Try to see me with a truck all packed up on the interstate, not looking back for who I was before you moved out. Should've stayed here to go. Lock the door and hit the road. 'Cause I can be a small town guy in a big town city. Fall asleep with you every night when the lights go out. If I ditch this town, maybe I never knew the only thing here for me was you. Should I stay? Here we go. Lock the door and hit the road. 'Cause I can be a small town guy in a big time city. Fall asleep with you every night when the lights go out. It's a ditch this town. Yeah, it's a ditch this town.
Wow, great voice, dude. Great voice. That was Houston Bernard. Make sure you go to all your social media, give him a follow, download some music, show him some love.
Thanks.
You know, that was good.
Appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit more about that song.
So that song is was inspired by, well, I don't know, maybe when you were young, some of us, we fall for someone and they leave the town that we're in, and we're like, should I go and chase this person who I'm feeling very deeply in love with, or should I chase my own dreams? And sometimes we chase them, and sometimes we stay, and either way we have regrets, I think.
Absolutely.
You're chasing somebody who's following their own dreams. It's like, well, what about yourself?
Well, you got to put yourself first, right?
I think so. I think you got to put in most situations, in a healthy, idealistic way, you got to put your own happiness first.
Absolutely. I was going through your videos earlier, and you have a video, In My Blood. And
Oh, yeah.
you're badass, man. You're walking down the thing, you're like a gunslinging cowboy coming down the dirt road. How are the videos to do? A lot of fun?
Yeah, so I've done a lot of music videos. And this particular one I shot out in California. My manager is actually based in San Diego, and we shot it at a ranch. And it was probably the longest shoot I've ever done. It was a good 10 hours, which for me, when I usually direct a video, I didn't direct this one, but when I'm done in like 4 hours. I'm laser focused. I know what I want. I get it done, and we're good. Like no more than 4 hours. And it was hot, but we captured some stuff, and it was a lot of fun. The director his name's Ryan Love, and he came out of L.A. I was doing some shows in San Diego, and whenever I go to town, I try to be very proactive and get as much done as possible. So I had a couple shows, and then we did on a Friday, Saturday, and then we did the video on Thursday. Very dusty, as you can see.
It's a great video.
In the video, but it comes out great, right? It's really hot.
Yeah.
But I think we really captured it, and it was some fun stuff. Like there's a horse that's in the video, a couple horses actually, and he ran off, and we were all chasing him. Like it was a whole plethora of fun things that happened with that.
Yeah, it's all the things that go on behind the scenes. A lot of fun, but very authentic looking video with the dust in the air and all kinds of stuff.
Well, you see the truck that was spinning out. That was just randomly happened. That guy was just driving by. He worked on the ranch, and we're like, "Oh, let's get that going." So that's how the video opens up. You can see the smoke. You don't see the truck. You just see the smoke. And I'm walking through because the song talks about the Dust Bowl. Dust Bowl flew in Oklahoma, and so you see the dust, and I'm walking through the dust. It was pretty dusty.
Yeah, it was cool. Would you play In My Blood for me?
Sure. Let me make sure I'm in tune here. Okay. Got my name from Uncle Houston, who died when he was 2 in 1933. He caught the Dust Bowl flu on the family farm in Oklahoma, where life was always tough. It's in my blood. For 9 years, my Uncle Sam gave me a place to belong. The day my daddy turned 16, he left for Vietnam in all his innocence. He left there in the mud, it's in my blood. like a Tulsa tornado. It's ripping through my veins. Bypass will never let go. It's churning like a train. You can't outrun your family. You can't outrun the pain when it flows. No. It feels I'll always be shaking off the dust. Thought you should know if I'm the one you dare to love. Oh, it's in my blood. My great-grandpa was an outlaw. His middle name was Bitter Creek. Wanted dead or alive, so they shot him in his sleep. My favorite song is Desperado, and I'm never growing up. It's in my blood. Like a Tulsa tornado, it's ripping through my veins. Bypass will never let go. It's churning like a train. You can't outrun your family. You can't outrun the pain when it flows. No. It feels I'll always be shaking off the dust. Thought you should know if I'm the one you dare to love. Oh, it's in my blood. Whoa, whoa. So tell me your story, every quiet little storm, all the shame and all the glory, for the day that you were born. 'Cause there ain't no need to worry, you're the one I dare to love. It's in your blood.
Houston Bernard, In My Blood. Another awesome song.
Thank you.
One of the lines in that really intrigues me is about your relative that was a real badass outlaw gunslinger.
Well, he was an outlaw, that's for sure. I didn't know him personally, so I don't know how badass he was. But I do know that his name is George Bitter Creek Newcomb, and he ran with the Dalton gang and the Doolin gang, and they thought he was too wild to run with the gang, so they kicked him out, and then he started the Wild Bunch. And the Wild Bunch, there was a movie about him, but the Eagles also did a whole concept album about the Wild Bunch, Desperado. Wow. And so track 10 is a song called Bitter Creek about my great-great-grandfather. Wow. Which I didn't know until a few years ago when this Canadian artist, I posted a picture of my great-grandfather online or whatever, and he's like, oh yeah, the Eagles there's a song about him. I was like,
really? And that's confirmed that that's what that's about?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
That's pretty crazy.
It's pretty crazy, yeah.
Wow. You're in good company, bad company, I don't know, but...
I don't know, they're outlaws. I can't condone whatever he did. I don't know, and there's so many conspiracy theories. Some people say he didn't die, and some people say he did. And yeah. There's a Time Life Gunfighters book. It has a picture of him. Some say that's not really him, and I don't know. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. Sounds like it would be a good movie.
Actually, my uncle Johnny Bernard, he used to play with my dad a lot, and Reba actually recorded one of his songs, Reba McEntire. But he was writing a movie before he died, and he wanted to play the lead, but I think he was a little too old for that lead because he was about 20, 21 at that time, when he was running, being an outlaw. But yeah, it's an interesting story.
It's very interesting. Yeah, it's cool how you fit it right in the song, and you can almost picture what you're trying to say in your song. It's pretty cool.
Oh, cool.
Very cool.
Well, I think that's obviously ideal, right? When you're writing a song, you want to be able to paint a picture for people.
Absolutely.
But yeah, thank you.
Very impressive. You have a lot of influences in your music. Tell us about some of those, and when they started from a little kid. Who was you?
Yeah, I think anytime there's, I'm always listening to new music, and sometimes I get inspired by it. So, but when I was young, I started out listening to, the first song I can remember was a Paul Simon song called Love Me Like a Rock. Do you know that song? Love Me Like a Rock.
Yeah.
So that was one of the first songs. But I was really into Elvis for a long time. I actually impersonated him when I was young. I got rid of the stuff that was online, so don't go looking for it. But
I'm sure it's out there somewhere. Once you put it out there, kid, it's out there forever.
It was in Alaska. I was in a jumpsuit and doing the splits and all this stuff. But yeah, it was Elvis, and then the Beatles, and then Dwight Yoakam and Willie Nelson, and then I got really into a lot of rock stuff like Nirvana and Pearl Jam, that whole era, and Bruce Springsteen, Mellencamp, Bryan Adams. Wow. Those are my earliest.
It's a pretty eclectic.
I suppose
that you're saying a little bit of everything.
It's only rock and roll to me.
Right.
Just music.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the stories about people, and they felt authentic. Having a good time, that's great. Like popular music is great, but I think when you're telling stories and it feels authentic and it moves you. I remember there's a couple songs. Actually, I grew up where Vietnam was still fresh in a lot of people's memories. And your songs like Billy Joel was another, I'm not sure to say influence, but I definitely listened to him a lot. But Good Night Saigon, when I was a little kid, I used to listen to that, and something about it moved me. I didn't know enough about it, but I knew there was something special about it. And that was about the soldiers. We all go down together. And the song Born in the USA, which was unfortunately misunderstood, but it was obviously a protest song about the government using, its citizens for its own selfish purposes, that will always be the case, I think, unfortunately. But the songs like that really moved me.
And did that have any influence on you going into the armed forces?
Well, I was always patriotic as well, but also a poor kid trying to pay for school, and I was like, well, kill two stones with one bird here, and I'll join the Army. And everyone in my dad's side of the family joined, and we had a lot of family members that had passed. My mom's brother passed from Agent Orange like 5 years after Vietnam. So when it comes to like being influenced in anything politics, I feel like I'm always in the middle. It's always about like the people, right? How people are manipulated and taken advantage of, and that's just the nature of things. So I try to think about those people stories. I'll give you an example. I was of this type of thing. I was watching this thing about there's a guy on YouTube that he goes through like people's exercise routines and set for movies or people that are selling you things, and he's a PhD in exercise science. He's actually a scientist, and he goes through like this, but he's from the Bronx, so he has quite a brass interpretation of things, which I love. And he goes through and he talks about, how this is wrong, and this is, like people is snake oil salesman, and that's pretty much the gist of everything. So I get pretty jaded about all of that, and I try not to put it in the music. Sometimes I like to sing songs about having a good time, and that helps ignore some of that nonsense. And sometimes I like to dig in and go, there's some true emotions here, talking about like, I've written a couple songs about domestic violence and abuse. I've written songs about, people just giving their whole selves. Like when you sign up for the military, you're giving your whole self, you're giving your life to that. So sometimes I like to dig in deep, but I think a lot of times people want to forget that stuff when they come out and they're spending time and money with you, and you want to show them a good time. Maybe you'll give them a song to think about and feel, and sometimes you just want them to be able to dance the night away.
Yeah. So as a performer, you're up on stage and you look out into the crowd, and you have people singing your songs that you wrote.
Yeah,
amazing.
Cool.
Like
that's cool.
Pretty.
Yeah, that's very cool. And sometimes I'll see some clips that somebody films, and then you hear them singing your song, really like louder than you. But I love that. I love that people are moved by the music that I write because I'm moved to write it. And if they're not, that's okay too.
And they're wearing their Houston Bernard concert T-shirts that you can get online, right? You get a little swag shop going.
That's true. I do have ways that you can support. I've got some decent merch.
You have some great merch.
Stuff like "I'm Gonna Need a Ride Home Tonight," which is a lyric from one of my songs. That's been a popular one for about 10 years. I have a new sweatshirt out. I have a subscription. It just helps me create music because it's really expensive to do it really well, and I try to gain more knowledge, and I'm finding that it just becomes more expensive. So when people are supportive, it helps me further along my career.
Yeah, so it is harder for a musician to kind of, quote, make it nowadays because...
I don't even know what that means anymore.
Right? I mean, everyone's stealing music, and you get 1,000 streams and you'll get a penny for it or something. It's something ridiculous.
That sounds about right, yeah.
So,
well, I mean, that's how it's always been, right? Like even in the exploitation days of the 50s and 60s, where you would just, I mean, it's documented. You would just keep your artist busy with the party lifestyle, let's call it, and while you're taking all their money. The Beatles fell to it, the Rolling Stones fell to it, they all fell to it. Publishing rights, all of that. And it's not that much different now, where you have companies like Spotify or the streaming services giving you a 0.000001 cent per play. What are they doing with all that money?
right.
Shouldn't the artist be making the bulk of it? But even Michael Jackson, like, he had a pretty crappy deal. I mean, a lot of people had crappy deals. That's the nature of things. It's art. And then there's business. And artists want to make art, but they have to also be business people. And they have to come together. And that's a really hard thing for people to do, especially when you're kind of competing against each other.
Yeah.
Some more than others. And
Do you see that changing in the near future?
I don't.
I don't either, unfortunately.
you need to be able to be independent in order to, and then have a following, a big enough following that if you want to get a label, labels take notice. They milk you for all you're worth. They chew you up, spit you out. So the best thing, and if anybody ever asks me my advice, I say do your own thing, get your own following. The subscription thing, where you give them content for themselves or whatever it is that you want to do, something, special show for them or whatever it is, to keep you making music. And if you think about it, if you had 1,000 subscribers for $10 a month, that's what is that math?
$10,000.
$10,000 times 12 months. That's $120,000 a year. That's a living.
Right.
You can't ask for more than a living. And you don't have anybody digging in your pocket. You don't have anybody telling you, hey, this is what you should write and how you should write it, and you should wear this and you should do this. You're completely independent. That's just 1,000. Granted, I'm not even at 1,000 subscribers, but it's possible. You don't really need a label.
Right. You can go out on your own and do it. Support yourself.
And I encourage people to do that because they're not going to be interested in you anyway, unless you're, exceptionally talented, exceptionally, good looking, and do exactly what they want. That's in my experience. That's what I've seen.
Yeah.
And I've had a bunch of friends signed by major labels. A friend of mine in the early 2000s, he got signed. He had $1 million record deal. There's 4 of them in the group. The managers, the agents, everybody got a piece. They got $8,000 each.
What a sin.
Yeah. And then you have to pay that back, right? So you have to pay back your advance.
So that's great advice that you would give someone. What is the best advice that you have gotten from someone, and who was the person?
Well, I'm not sure if it's the best advice. It's good advice. I opened up for Old Dominion about 2015. They were here. They're playing with Kenny Chesney, and they played Marshville Fair. And I opened up for them. And I also opened up for them at Royale a couple months before that. And then they just took off. But they were very generous with their time, and they were talking about how if you want to make it in Nashville, you should be in Nashville. So I would equate that advice, and of course I didn't want to hear that. because I didn't feel at that time, I didn't feel like doing that cookie cutter thing. I thought it was cookie cutter, but it's not. If you're working with a good producer and good musicians, then they're going to be true to the song. And if you have a vision, they're going to be true to that vision. So I was a little misguided at that point, but my manager helped me with that. But I think if you want to make it in LA or make it in New York, you have to be there. And it's really tough to make it somewhere without not being present. But I spent a lot of time in Texas, and I released music in Texas, and I'm spending more and more time there. I don't see myself moving there, but it's just a flight away.
Is that your
I think
biggest audience?
For me, it's more they're more receptive of my style of music, and Nashville has really gone pop. A lot of it has gone too pop for my taste, or my style. But Texas is still like I can do a straight honky tonk Dwight Yoakam song and like release it to country radio there, and they'll play it. And there's independent radio stations that will play it. There's a whole radio scene that play independent artists. That's what's really great about Texas. When it comes to other things, I don't love it, but Texas is a great place, and so is Oklahoma.
That's good. Who would you like to share the stage with? You've opened up for a lot of people. Who would you like to be in a band with?
Oh, like actually do a song with?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's tough. Well, Dolly Parton, actually. I've been a big fan of her since I was a little. There was something just magical about her. I don't know if I could do a song with her if I had that. I would just be like, I can't believe I'm doing this.
You'd be starstruck.
Yeah.
You don't get starstruck, do you?
Well, we'd rehearse, and I'm sure it'd all work itself out. But just thinking about it briefly, it's a little nerve wracking. But I like a lot of artists. I'd love to do a song with Brothers Osborne. I think they're great. Willie Nelson.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many great musicians out there, isn't there? And you're just another one of them.
Oh, I do my best. It's funny. So many years I've asked myself, why do you keep doing this? Like, what are you getting? Why do you keep doing this? You're not, making lots of money. So, well, I just have to do it. I still have a fire to create and to connect with people. And I think for me, what really keeps me going is just that connection with people and the audience. I used to be, especially when I was younger, I used to be about, look at me, which is a thing we performers do, right? We like the attention. And it changed over the past decade where it's like, well, let me look at you. What are you thinking? What are you feeling? How you doing? And that changed everything for me. It changed my writing style. It changed my performance. I could still, do some jump splits and whatever, look at me kind of stuff. I try not to do that anymore, the knees. But really it's about that connection, and that keeps me going.
Right, but that's all part of the show.
Yeah.
This extra little leg splits and all that.
Yeah.
I'm sure back in the day they were a little easier.
As I go, I try not to do them anymore, but when I go, it's like a half split, whatever. But when I go down, I don't know if I'm going to get up,
Okay. Well, so far you have, right?
So far,
keep,
so good.
keep trying. Keep trying. Yeah, it's interesting, the way that you look at the whole music industry and all that. It's just amazing.
It's as bad as you think it is, and probably worse. And it hasn't changed. Some people have been called out, but it hasn't changed.
So a lot of people talk about making it in the music industry. What is your definition of making it?
Making it is being happy and being in a mental place where this is enough for me. I'm creating music. I've got some people that care about the music I'm making, and I'm improving. I've got an audience. Yeah. If you want more than that, I feel, in my personal opinion, that you're going to fail.
Yeah. So you're basically
you're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, you're doing it for the love of music, not really chasing the dollar. And if that comes, it's a huge bonus.
Yeah, you got to be smart with your money and strategic, and learn about business and find ways to make income to keep going, which I have.
Yeah, our last guest, Jess Bianchi, is a music coach, and she touches on everything that has to do with the music industry. And it's unbelievable what there is. You really have to be an incredible business person to manage your own music and
You
to
don't
make it
wanna rely
happen.
on other people.
There's like so many little intricate things that,
Yeah, but it's also a journey. You know, I think if you talk to someone who's just starting out, they're like, "Oh, I don't want to learn all that. That's crazy. I'll just let somebody else do it." Well, then you're putting yourself in somebody else's hands, and you just can't trust everybody to know the right thing for you. To trust people, I can't tell you how many people I know whose managers taken off with their money, or I mean, it's an ugly business.
yeah,
You just have to take it slow, learn one thing at a time, and like work on your art, perfect your art, work on that, and just balance yourself out with knowledge. And don't pay for everything. There's so much stuff that's free.
yeah. The artist getting screwed over is a topic of conversation that seems to pop up over and over on our podcast with our guests. That
I'll tell you, I have not been screwed over very often, and those who have regretted it for one way or for one reason or another. But I think it's just about, for instance, club dates. When you play clubs, I like to get paid up front before I unload my car. You know what I mean? I'll get a deposit for like private events usually. Get a deposit, and then I'll get the last check or whatever right before I unload my car. That's a great model for anybody, because people will, at the end of the night, be drunk, or you're chasing them around. You want to deal with that nonsense. But that's one of those things you learn for doing it for so many years. But there's so many things like that. You just have to look out for yourself. You don't have to be mean about it, because then you don't want to burn a bridge. It's like, well, this is my policy, and take it or leave it.
Right. I like it. Before we tie up our episode here, we'd love to hear another song of your choice. What is your favorite song that you have written?
I'll tell you what. I will do a song that I. Okay, now they're all swirling around. There's so many songs, but I should do a song from the current album, so people can hear the music that's on there and go check that out if they want to. And so I'd like to dedicate this song to all the people that we've lost in our life and that are surviving in our memories. So it's a song called "All We Are Is Memories." Lately I feel like another clown going down with this ship of fools, in a world that needs a little less rule of gold and a bit more golden rule. The longer I live, the less I know I can let it go. It wouldn't change a thing, I know it's true. I understand I can count on one hand what matters most, and it always comes back to you, back to you. Free and easy and away we go. So come tomorrow, might be good and gone. You love me like I love you, come on, sing along with me. You're the one that keeps me holding on. I believe all we are is memories. There was a time back in my prime I thought that I was 10 feet tall and bulletproof. Town to town I turned my life upside down, and that's where I found you. You gave me wings to chase this dream. Now it's clear to me we fly so high just to fall. The lights go down and the curtain closes, and the sun is setting slowly on a song, on a song. Free and easy and away we go. So come tomorrow, might be good and gone. You love me like I love you, come and sing along with me. You're the one that keeps me holding on. I believe all we are is memories. Oh, up a map of a life I'm just passing through. And almost every day I lose my way, but somehow I always come back to you, 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 back to you. Free and easy and away we go. Come tomorrow might be good and gone. You love me like I love you, come on sing along with me. You're the one that keeps me holding on. You love me like I love you, come on sing along with me. You're the one that keeps me holding on. I believe all we are is memories.
Alls We Are is Memories with Houston Bernard. Make sure you follow him on Facebook, Instagram, or any other social media. Go check out his website, find out where he's going to be playing, support him. We want to thank Maeve and Kayla of WinCam for making this whole thing happen. And we want to thank Houston for coming in. And John Gagnon from the Boston Photography is in the house also. And we like to think that people come in as an acquaintance and leave as a friend. So Houston, we want to thank you for coming in and being our friend.
Thanks
This
so
is
much.
a lot of fun.
Appreciate
It's been good.